Welcome back to the channel. This is the ISO GOAT here, back again for another quick video. Let me start this by saying I'm not a financial advisor, nor do I have financial experience whatsoever. Do not invest in anything solely based off my opinions or anything that I say in this video until you've done your own due diligence and your own research first. Never throw in more money than you're willing to lose, and also make sure you have a firm understanding of crypto before throwing in any kind of money. All right, so I just want to give you guys kind of some updates. So it's going to be rapid fire news. Apparently, AAX Exchange actually limited withdrawals for the next 15 days. Not very good, not a good look. I hope that you guys are keeping your crypto safe and you are not keeping it on the exchange. Obviously, Exhibit A, AAX. Next thing, Huobi, Bybit, KuCoin, OKX, none of them have XRP in their reserves. I don't know if this is a telltale sign, but I do think that a liquidity crisis will be coming. Maybe there will be a supply shock. I think a lot of people think that XRP is available at their fingertips. It won't always be available at your fingertips. At some point, eventually, it will run out. Okay, this is just your kind reminder, just to let you know that. Make sure that you plan accordingly. If you do plan on getting into this asset class, make sure that you plan ahead of time and don't wait until the last second. There will be people that will try to scramble, and that'll probably be when demand is very high. Obviously, if demand is high and supply is low, there goes your price. Next thing, sorry, ignore the helicopter. XRP Healthcare. So the first pharma and healthcare platform to be built on the XRP ledger. This is huge, okay? I don't XRP and the XRP ledger, you can put a lot of different things on there, between debt, between commodities, obviously healthcare, they work in different industries, and it's going to be very beneficial for some of these businesses once they start incorporating and building on top of this XRP ledger. We are at the forefront of this. You can actually, if you wanted to, even build your own token if you wanted to, like I said. But, there's a lot of different use cases is the point I'm trying to make in regards to that aspect. Just something to keep in mind in regards to future value, etc. All right, first thing I wanted to touch on, calls for international settlements based on blockchain and digital currencies. You already know where this is going. So this is very big. They're basically working on a new system for international transfers. I'm sure you guys know. You have the BRICS nations. There's other nations trying to join BRICS too, which is not good for the petrodollar. Obviously, Saudi Arabia, is key in this. And if they do decide to join BRICS, there goes our petrodollar and the value of the dollar. There's also other countries like Argentina trying to get on board. I know Ghana was working on another system as well, as opposed to using the dollar. I believe it was transacting in gold, if I'm not mistaken. But a lot of these countries are moving away from the dollar is essentially what I'm trying to get at, okay? It's been losing its value as time goes on. It's literally worth like 2% of what it was in like 1900. So the value's going, okay, at some point. So they're working on a new international system to transfer. Obviously, we have imposed some kind of sanctions on Russia. So they're trying to transact money. They can't, so they're working on a different system outside of SWIFT. This is very big for those that don't think it is. So Russian President Vladimir Putin believes a new system for international money transfers is needed to reduce dependence on big banks and third parties. That's key. He is convinced that cross-border payments relying on digital currency and distributed ledger technology will be much more convenient. You don't say. So it's a very interesting article. I'll make sure I pin it in the description as well, so that way you guys can peruse and look through it yourself. He talks about a couple different things. He also spoke at a conference for AI, and he basically said that inflows and payments between nations are under threat right now. Obviously, that's why they're working on this new system, so that way they don't have to worry about being threatened or sanctioned, etc. So USA, obviously, as I mentioned, has limited their access to global finance in different markets. Like I said, they're working on a workaround. When this is lit up like a Christmas tree, that I don't know. They haven't announced exactly what the system might be, but I mean, it's kind of a telltale sign. They're telling you it's distributed ledger technology. So, there's some kind of blockchain involved in that. You can take that how you want. Your interpretation, cool. It's probably Shiba Inu. I'm just kidding. Don't do that. Anyways. Next thing I wanted to touch on is, here we go, what he said in the article. So based on the technologies of digital currencies and distributed ledgers, it is possible to create a new system for international payments and much more convenient, but at the same time completely safe for participants and completely independent of banks and interference for third countries, Putin explained. Obviously, don't need an intermediary. It's from point A to point B. You don't have to worry about other banks. having to keep your money on hand. You know, it's a lot of different aspects of this that's going to be very important in the long run. So I'll make sure I pin this in the description. It's a very short article, so nothing too crazy. I want you guys to take a look at that. Next thing I have for you, XRP, the private ledger. So this should be interesting. So it's been a lot of debate in regards to a private ledger versus a public ledger. Is it two separate ledgers? Are they using XRP on the private ledger versus the public ledger? You know, is the price higher on the private ledger versus the public ledger? You know, how do you know that it's going to be valued at a high price, etc.? So many different things. So apparently in March 2021, Ripple announced the private version of the open source public XRP ledger. For certain banks, for central banks, I'm sorry, there's certain transactions that they don't want everybody to see on the public ledger. I mean, that makes sense to a degree. You know, so it's built for them, for central banks, and issuance and management of CBDCs, which I'm sure you guys know are coming. There's lots of different countries that are piloting this at this time. Like, there's some that are actually up and running. In fact, 80% of central banks are currently investigating CBDCs. Now, typically when they say they're investigating, 9 times out of 10, they've probably done at least some kind of research whatsoever, so they kind of know what they're doing before they get their feet wet. I wouldn't rely on that. I'd rather be 2 steps ahead. That's just my perspective and how I like to look at things. You know, if you want to wait, that's fine. Cool. So central banks want privacy in regards to certain transactions, hence why they made the private ledger versus the public ledger, etc. Let me see here. Give me 1 second. Ignore the airplane. Terrible timing. In an official announcement, Ripple mentioned that moving money on the CBDC private ledger will be cost-effective, reliable, and close to instantaneous. 3.3 seconds, quick, reliable. It's a green currency as well. You know, it's 57,000 times more efficient than Bitcoin. Enough said. I mean, we know that by now. Transactions can also happen at volumes required by central banks. Volumes required by central banks. I don't think that's going to be a low number. When you think volume, you want to think a higher number, at least in my opinion. You know, they can use pretty much anything if they wanted low volume. But volume, like CBDCs, this is for a country, has to be a high price. Just my opinion. Like I said, interpret it how you want. The CBDC private ledger will handle tens of thousands of transactions per second, TPS, for those that don't know. Initially with the potential to scale to hundreds of thousands TPS over time. Transactions on the CBDC private ledger are verified by the same consensus protocol used by the XRP ledger, which is far less energy intensive and therefore less expensive than public blockchains that leverage proof of work. We all know this by now. You know, we're not new. We've done our research. At least I hope, anyways. That's important, okay? You know, and I don't want to keep reiterating the same things in my video, so I'm not even going to do that. Next thing I wanted to go into is tokenization. Give me 1 second. Tokenization, this is according to Monica Long, has always been a key feature of the XRPL with over 5,400 plus issued tokens since inception. That's a lot. CBDCs will live on new private ledgers that run parallel to XRPL, using XRP as a bridge to interoperate with other currencies. No more walled gardens. I've mentioned this before. Ripple is going to be the bridge currency. You can check on Google, type in world bridge currency, let me know what you find. There's people that have, you know, maybe some reservations in regards to that aspect. That's perfectly fine. They're literally throwing this out in people's face and people still ignore it. I don't understand why or how, but ultimately that's up to you. You know, do your own research. Like I said, I just try to bring the facts over to you, but you know, there's only so many facts I can bring to the table for non-believers. So it is what it is. So they tell you enough right there. And then the last thing I wanted to jump into is, here we go, Matt Hamilton, principal developer advocate at Ripple, has confirmed that the CBDC private ledger is based on public XRPL. The idea will be that each institution manages its own private ledger, just like they already do internally, but in this case, based on XRPL software. This is going to be a use case. Like I said, there's plenty of use cases. You know, NFTs, cross-border payments right now, potentially derivatives. You know, there's a lot of different avenues they can take with this and put on top of the XRPL, which will add value to it. I know there's a lot of people complaining, oh, the price is not $100. Oh, the price is not $500. Oh, the price is not $10. These things take time. If you're not a person that, you know, can be patient in regards to this aspect, they're literally laying the rails right now for you. Okay? It takes time to do these things. It's not something that happens overnight. It's not something that, you know, you just snap your fingers, hey, it's $1,000 a token. Although, I mean, hey, I wouldn't be opposed to that. But you have to see the bigger picture. You have to be able to see long term. You have to see the value. You have to see the potential there. There's really no limit on what they can put on top of the XRPL ledger. That's just my opinion. So, back to the article. That's pretty much it for the article. So, essentially, there's a private ledger, there's a public ledger. This is just a long Cliff Notes version. At some point, they have to connect both, okay? There's certain things that we don't see on the private ledger because, obviously, transparency in regards to banks, they don't want you seeing certain transactions, etc. That's understandable, it makes sense. And then people are worried about the whole price aspect. I'm not worried about price, okay? Because at some point, that price is going to have to go up when they're continuing to add value on top of the XRP ledger. Once they start transacting, it's going to be a wrap. And there's really no limit to where this can go. It's all about your patience level and where you can see this going. Do you see this being a quick fad? Something like, hey, they try it, and they're done with it in like 3 months. Or do you see this as something like, hey, 5-10 years out, maybe they'll be adding this on top of the ledger? I mean, I literally just mentioned healthcare. Like, there's a lot of different aspects and a lot of different avenues that they can take in regards to this. Sorry, it's the garbage truck day. My apologies. But you have to realize the value for yourself, essentially, is what I'm trying to get at, okay? I'll make sure I pin these articles in the bottom. I want to make sure you guys look at that. They're very quick articles. Read through them, interpret them how you want. I'd like to hear your comments as well. So like, comment, share, subscribe. Share this with someone you love. Change their life. Thanks so much. ISO Gold out. I'll catch you on another video.